Hello travelers, TMR Tours back at Halloween Horror Nights, Universal Orlando.
That's right. I'm Stacey and this is Ryan, and we are here at Horror Nights once again, and we're going to show you a little bit of what the evening is like, what you can expect here when you come for your Horror Nights experience.
So yeah, we did a stay and scream. We were in the parks early, went into the holding area. Two of the haunted houses, both the Bloodlines as well as the Goblin Feast, opened early, knocked those right out immediately. We'll talk about those in a second. Now, we made our way over here towards Men in Black to do the Slaughter Cinema 2.
So, it is officially 6/12, and we've already done 2 haunted houses, and we're about to do our third.
Yes. We did not opt for Express this time, so we're going to see how that goes and come along. And you can find out for yourself, so you can come have your own Horror Nights experience and not spend the extra like $700 or whatever it is. Some ridiculous. So let's continue on. We got here even before the coming attractions are happening. Like, projector's not even on.
Worst drive-in ever.
Yeah. Guess we gotta go get snacks at the snack bar or something.
All the free samples.
It's been a rainy evening on and off, but not too bad. I'm going to give a quick review of some of the haunts. All of them, actually. We've gotten through all of them at this point. It's after midnight, so we're kind of having a sit, drink, and yeah, we can update you on how our day's been. We started
with Goblin's Feast.
Yeah, we started early, stay and scream, got in like right at 6, got almost the first 3 haunts done, almost right off the bat.
Yes, and because we did the stay and scream, we started, we checked in at Lombard's and walked all the way to the back to the holding area, and they actually opened that house at 5:45.
Yeah, so we were able to get in, that was like 10 minutes, not even, loop around and do the other one, the
Monsters, Universal Monsters.
Yeah, the Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one was interesting, like a Van Helsing, like niece or lots of various IPs. Again, they've been doing a lot of the like classic monsters stuff over the last few years.
The interesting thing about both of those houses is that they are both in brand new buildings that they put up in the back.
Yeah, well, and like they're more like the pods. If you're familiar with Horror Nights, they're like temporary structure pods, but they're permanent.
Yeah.
And they're much bigger though. They're taller, bigger. They put them on like raised pallets so they shouldn't have trouble flooding. So it'll be interesting to see if these small pods get retired or get some refurbishment, because they could use some. But that's a totally different sidebar.
Goblin's Feast, I kind of knew that this was going to be the campy one going into it.
Yeah.
But I kind of loved it.
Yeah, the Sweet Factory too was a bit campy. not as campy, but same idea. That's like, on the verge of not being so scary and just kind of being a good story house.
Yeah, they both had really great stories. They both had really great costumes. I thought they both did a really great job with sets as well.
Yes.
I think Goblin's Feast does win for sets, though.
Out of all of them.
Really, it had a water wheel.
Yeah, it was. So. Yeah, that's true. It did.
The Sweets House did have the taffy pull ceiling, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So again, we're kind of bouncing all over the place. Started at Goblin's Feast. That one is probably one of the top ones for us this year. As much as a lot of people are like, oh, it's the silly, like, that's the one where, as far as theming, storyline, aesthetic, they kind of did a great job with that one. Not so much phoning it in or too much recycled scenery, this, that, or the other. Then, of course, the Monsters Bloodline, great stuff in there. Again, great scenery. It was interesting because kind of like as we'll talk about in a minute, the Cinema of Slaughter, or Slaughter Cinema, the Bloodlines house, because it's like Van Helsing, there were these like little hallway corridors with like a book open, and it was kind of preluding to what monsters you were about to encounter. So like whether it was werewolf or whether it was vampires or, again, very interesting storytelling. You can kind of see where like the tribute store has done some influencing with the creative side of things. But that was kind of interesting how it's, there was like animated projections on the books to kind of show you like what you were about to encounter. So that was kind of neat. Good storytelling as well.
Yeah, I did see that they recycled I don't know what, I keep calling them the whisper candles. Like, do you know what I'm talking about, Ryan?
Yeah.
It's like a whole altar of candles, and when you walk through them, it like kind of
Illuminates.
whooshes, and they all illuminate or they all shut off.
It's a very magical effect.
It is. It's very cool. They used it previously, and they brought it back for the Blood Lions house this year too.
Yeah.
So that was a good recycle of that effect.
Yeah, and then after that we did the Slaughter Cinema, which again, that one kind of left me wanting more. It was another kind of campy one. It had that tribute store vibe. You know, you'd walk past the poster and then kind of go through a scene within the movie, but almost too small because there was like one room.
I think because they tried to do too many movies. If they had stuck to 3 and done multiple rooms for each of those movies, that's what I would have loved to see. As it is right now, they did a great job with all the rooms that they had, but it was so short. You know, it's just a little amuse-bouche, and I wanted more.
There wasn't like enough storytelling. It was kind of, you know, just like little peppers, little sprinkles of, you know, the saving grace there was the shark animatronic puppet.
Yeah, that was great.
Like, that was you know, the what was that, Blood and Chum or something?
Something like that. Also, mummy strippers.
Yeah, but even that, again, like
one room.
Again, predictable scares in that one because you go from a poster to the one room, and obviously something's gonna happen.
Yeah, it announces itself.
Yeah, it's
like
that one again. In previous years, when they did the original, really great stuff. That one, they went again tribute store route and kind of stripped it away. And if they did, less is more, as Stacy said. You know, if they only chose a couple as opposed to trying to do like 5 or 6 titles in there, that might have been a little bit better. And then from there, we crossed over and did the Sweets Factory.
Yes, we did do the Sweets Factory. It was a really good idea. It's a really good story.
Yeah. Again, that haunt was neat. You know, kids eating candy and it's like making them go crazy, and then they're turning on the adults or what, you know.
I don't know what kind of school that these kids go to, but it seemed like they did school in the boiler room of like an abandoned building.
Yeah.
And I get it. I know it's a haunted house, but like if the story is that the candy is brought to the kids at school and they're going crazy and taking over.
Yeah, again, there's a little bit of muddled aesthetic there, you know, whereas like Goblin's Feast was very aesthetic as far as like keeping with the storyline. That one, you know, it was, is it a school? Is it the factory? Like where?
Yeah.
Like,
you know, and then there's the principal and there's the kids, but there's this lady, but then there's also the candy maker.
Yeah.
And the
Willy Wonka.
Janitor. Like, I don't know, like again, great idea. It didn't present clear enough. There's a lot of speculation on the aftermath.
Yeah. Then from there, we actually bobbed over to the New York area and was able to do, what was that?
The Scare Zone?
Well, no, not just the Scare Zone. I mean, the Scare Zones were better years in the past for Scare Zones, even though we do love a good Renaissance festival theme.
That's partly why I think we love the Goblin's Feast.
Yeah, probably.
It is a little Rennie, which is fun.
But from there, we did Insidious.
We did Insidious, yes.
Which again, we know nothing of the movie, and you know, it wasn't a bad haunt, but like, I don't know. It's just being an IP haunt. I know everyone's like, there's a lot of people that are all about the IP haunts, and we kind of like the original storyline haunts.
We do really love the original storyline haunts because I think it gives the Universal creative team free license to really give us something and wow us. You know, they can make a story, they can give us whatever they think it's supposed to be. You know, and obviously we're critiquing it now, but
the Insidious
to do whatever they want.
Yeah, in the Insidious haunt, like, you know, you start in like the house and like, I don't know, it just kind of felt like a very general haunted house.
It did. I think the biggest spoiler, the biggest scare in that house is that they do an effect twice, not once, twice, that they haven't done in a while, but they do
a bunch of
a
mannequins.
fake body room.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a ton of mannequins in a room, and one or two of them is actually a real person, a character.
Yeah.
And they do that twice.
Yeah.
In the same house. I was kind of like, ooh.
And on the other note of overusing gags or scares, in almost, I'd say half of the houses, they use this mirror gag where it's like cubby corridors, like where the scares jump out of, but it's like almost like two locker bays with a mirror down the center. So it's mirroring what's on this side, which makes the other side look open and empty, but a scarer can hide there pretty easily, and it looks a little less like a cubby or corridor that you may know of that's just like a curtain corridor. But it's still like some haunted houses used it twice, and again, almost half the haunts used it. And like, come on, guys, like it's a good scare, but like it's universal.
There's almost a
mix
puppet.
and match.
There's almost a puppet in every single house too.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, don't get me wrong, I think the use of a puppet in a haunt can be incredibly effective. But
don't overuse
when
them.
you see the success of a puppet, don't just assume, oh my gosh, our puppet is great, we gotta put one in every single house. No. You gotta put it in the right application, and that's why it's successful.
Yeah.
So.
And then we did Triplets of Horror, which that one, or Triplets of Terror, I believe, actually.
Yeah. Again, same with that one.
Muddled storyline.
Yeah.
It's like the three triplets are killing the parents, and then they go like across the street, and then there's like this old guy.
And it becomes a podcast. Like, okay, and I get it. Like, there's going to be people that come for us in the comments about like, well, why didn't you read the storylines in the app before you went in? I shouldn't have to.
Yeah, really.
Like, it's a visual story. I know it's a haunted house, but it's visual storytelling. It's theater. Like,
yeah,
I should
own that.
It's a haunted house. I should be able to get what the story is just by walking through.
And then after that, we did Ghostbusters, which haven't seen the new Ghostbusters yet, but it was a Ghostbusters haunt.
Loved it.
Nothing stood out, and it's not like having the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man like they've done in the past. That was like a huge wow moment.
Yeah.
But it was Ghostbusters. It was fun, but nothing stood out too much in that. I will say the Slimer they used, like you can very clearly see the torso of because it's basically like a body prosthetic, and then like from the waist down, it's like you can kind of see it's just like a person wearing a weird Slimer outfit, and like again, whether that's using a more black art or something to hide that waist.
Sizing and perspective.
Yeah,
It was cool. It could have been
better. Yeah. Notes. Leave it in the notes there.
It was good. It could have been executed better, and it would have been great.
And then we went to the Museum of Oddities and Antiquities, and that, like, really, the Viking ship was like the only takeaway from that. That was decent.
The Viking tent into the ship.
It was, yeah, the overall haunt itself was
lacking.
I wanted it to be better. Those that know us and like Adventures Club, this, that, could have been better. I wanted more for it, but
I got more out of the Oddfellow Scare Zone that was like adventure themed like that from last year than I got out of this whole haunted house.
And maybe that is the problem with this year. Is last year they were interconnected the storyline of multiple houses, multiple haunted houses, and the scare zones. So like between 3 or 4 of the haunted houses, a couple of the scare zones, there was a cohesive storyline throughout the whole horror nights. Now I know they try to do that in a minimal sense, but like they did it so well last year that like maybe they, it's just hard to live up to that again, multiple years in a row. I don't know.
They're running horror nights now, and I know they're already thinking about horror nights for next year.
Yeah.
Like, it's
and if they're not, they need to be, because they got to make up for this year.
room to grow.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if anything's evident, even the banners outside, they didn't put up banners over all the arches. So that already kind of tells you the, like, well, we only really have 4 of these IP haunts, and, you know,
again, you know, it's great to have the IP haunts, but, like, the original ones have always been something special
something to behold.
that they can really lean into and do something really great.
All right. Now, before we get too long-winded here on this video, ending out now with Monstros, the South American and Quiet Place. Again, you've already heard some of the horror stories of the Monstros of, like,
It's sensitive. It's a sensitive topic.
yeah, exactly, like baby snatching and killing and this and that. Nothing, I don't know. I hate to be like that one. That was one we almost didn't have to do.
Yeah, I was kind of.
You know, no one really wants, you know, it's almost like a letdown, and not like a literal letdown. It's just coming out of it.
It's a little bit of a bummer.
It feels discerning, and I know obviously Universal's not afraid to push some of the limits there, but
And it is horror nights. I understand the theme and the topic, and this is scary. It is scary. It's scary for some people, and I don't know. It's just
yeah, something like Krampus might, you know, even Krampus like was on the edge of that, but it wasn't like killing the kids necessarily.
yeah. I think this pushed the envelope a little bit too much for some, and for others, it was just whatever.
Yeah. And then Quiet Place, again, we don't know much about Quiet Place. And this being kind of our first dive into that storytelling, it felt a little Demogorgon, Stranger Things-ish. And again, nothing super standout. Good, decent haunt. Use that mirror gag. And like,
What it did have going for it is that it did have multiple locations. So it was in a house, it was in a cornfield, it was inside. So that part was interesting. It took you through multiple locations.
yeah, various aesthetics. But yeah, as far as storytelling, we're not familiar with it too much. And, you know, theoretically, if you want to play like devil's advocate, you shouldn't have to know if you really want to enjoy it. And that's the thing with a lot of these haunts. Again, Stacey said it earlier, like even knowing the IP, like forget like just telling a cohesive story, knowing a storyline that's fabricated just for horror nights. You shouldn't have to have seen the movie to appreciate the haunt.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. It's visual storytelling, and it's Universal's job to tell us the
yeah.
story.
I mean, they also started like the horror trend in general. I mean, that's what saved their whole studio was the horror genre.
Yeah.
So like,
so for those of you wondering why they keep doing some sort of Universal monsters, that's what saved them back in the day. So
well, and with Epic
keep
Universe
going.
coming around,
Yes.
you know, you're gonna have Dark Universe with all the original
first-
horror monsters.
The first Universal Monsters house that they ever did blew us away.
Yeah.
It was so good, and I'm so sorry if you didn't get to see that. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
And maybe a side note to Universal Creative, if you're seeing this or not, probably not.
But if you are,
But if you are, well, yeah, call us. But anyway, try to mix up some of the haunt features, because for people like ourselves who have been coming for, you know, a decade or more, some of the recycled set pieces are, you know, that are memorable are just that. They're memorable. So rotate some new stuff in there.
yeah. You know what I didn't see this year was any body harnesses,
Yeah, that's true.
vertical body.
The
harnesses.
bungees or any of those, yeah, the vertical scares.
So that was not popular this year, but this year, stilt walkers, puppets, and mirror hallways.
Yeah. So that's kind of our honest review of all 10 houses. Scare zones, the one through the trees, again, really cool. The tree canopy really helps with that one. And again, it's nautical themed, which is always kind of fun and interesting.
Bayou.
The Blumhouse one is, you know, like it is what it is. There's a couple fun sets. I mean, one of those sets there, the stage with like the BH, where like Megan and the Black Phone guy are, that was made in our own hometown, Buffalo, New York. Shout out to the Scenic Space.
Yeah.
Great job on that. Great job on that. But
Good
other
job.
than, yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
the Rennie Scare Zone, fun. But yeah,
Festival of Fear, I believe it's called.
but yeah, they've had some better scare zones in the past.
Yeah. I really like that theme. I'd love to see a full medieval haunt
Well,
dungeon.
they did do Dueling Dragons,
They did do Dueling Dragons.
but yeah,
Awesome. Loved that Dueling Dragons had a choose a path.
yeah,
That was cool.
very short, but yes,
That
worked
was
out.
cool. So yeah, it's one of those things where like we love coming, absolutely love coming, and we do hold Universal to a very high standard because they are the standard. They're competing against themselves year after year, and us as their guests are the ones that get to judge whether they've outdone themselves from last year. Unfortunately, from last year to this year, last year wins.
Yeah,
But
of course.
but it's still it was still a good time. We still had fun. Definitely see all the production value and effort that went into everything,
Yes.
and totally appreciate it.
Good job putting the work in.
I just think
Sometimes less is more, because more is
Yeah.
not always more, but it can be more, but less can also be more. But anyway, we did also try the Stay Puft food. To talk
Yes.
about some of the food we tried,
Yes.
the Stay Puft some more was good, very
it was
sugary.
$6.99, and it was about the size of my iPhone.
Yeah,
So I thought it was cheaper than I expected, and it was bigger
Yeah.
than I expected.
we got
So-
some burgers at Richter's in the middle of the night, and those were delicious as well. So, the food we had was good.
And they kept food open late.
Yes, which is good because we've said that before.
Win.
There
That
are
was a win.
times in the past where food closed at like 8, and it was like, can I get any real food? Like,
I
I know
don't
these
want-
like little stand snacks are everywhere, but I want like to sit down and have a meal,
I
please.
need to eat something.
You guys are open till 2 in the morning, and food is done at 8. What's going on? So good on that one.
Good job with
Multiple
that.
locations too. So
Yeah.
we're in Luigi's right now. Obviously, still open past midnight.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know Richter's is also open late. Krusty Burger was open, as well as Minions Cafe. So like plenty of sit-down options. Gives you a place to go to get out of the rain if it's raining. Also air conditioning because it's friggin' Florida and hot. But yeah, no. So there were some integrations that were definitely pretty awesome. And then just continuing on, great job by all the team members, the cast of all the haunts.
Everybody's been very helpful, very nice. So really good job on training everybody up on knowing where things are, what time things are, all that kind of stuff. So great job, team members.
Yeah, so I think that's going to wrap up this review portion of the video. Let's go back and hit some more HHN.
Give him the rack.